his character, he gained the trust, admiration, and fellowship of countless Americans. Because of this, segregation was ended, and the American promise of freedom was spread to millions. Now, America is faced with another time of great challenge and uncertainty, and it is up to us, the next generation of Americans, to step up and make a difference. We Americans are not divided between liberal Democrats and conservative Republicans, but rather we are one people that rise and fall together. It is our time to listen to one another, develop creative approaches, and have the guts to do the right thing. We here today in particular, as college students, America's future leaders, it's our time to take charge of America's destiny. Almost 50 years ago, Dr. King and his followers took a stand and changed America forever. Now it is time for us to do the same. Remember, as Dr. King said, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Thank you very much.
Let me begin by saying that I'm honored to be able to speak at the celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King. Almost 41 years ago, this nation lost one of its most beloved leaders to violence and hatred. It was not that this man chose a life of violent civil disobedience, which merited this act of hatred, but that he chose to stand up in the name of justice and equality. It was not an attempt to make a name for himself, nor live a glamorous life as a celebrity, but it was an objection to dehumanization and inequality in a nation that promised more. Today, we celebrate a man who himself was not perfect, but who sought to rid the world of imperfection. A man who decided that in a nation where all men are created equal, the idea of one race enslaving another could not stand. A man who challenged this nation to judge a man by the content of his character and not by the color of his skin. And a man who endured enormous challenges through peace and captivated audiences with his voice. That is who we celebrate on this day. In his time, Dr. King faced divisiveness and divisions that we as a generation cannot fully comprehend. Yes, the issue of race is still prevalent, but not in the same sense. As I stood earlier this week, among 2 million others, at the inauguration of our 44th President of these United States, I wondered how we arrived at this moment in history. It was not that we had elected the first biracial president in our nation's history, but the journey that allowed him to be elected. He received questions on whether he was too black or not black enough. He was called articulate and clean, receiving questions from the media about whether a black man could be elected president. Some call these questions racist, others call them fair. But I believe that these questions and the result of the election prove that in a time of uncertainty, this nation voted on the character of an individual. As we move forward as a people, both black, white, Hispanic, Native American, and Asian, we are faced with challenges more pressing than the racial argument that has consumed this nation since its founding. Our flawed healthcare system affects both black and white. Our failing education system affects both black and white. And poverty in this nation affects both black and white. The challenges we face are colorblind and affect all races and ethnicities. I envision a nation that celebrates diversity not as a slogan, but as a means for contributing to the global conversation and its future. I envision a nation that does not see diversity as merely a statistic, but as a contribution to the common good. And I envision a nation that is proud to represent every ethnicity on this planet. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. King sacrificed his life for the challenge of his day, not because he had to, but because he wanted to secure this nation's future and its ability to be the most diverse in the world. The election of a biracial president does not heal all these wounds. It represents and signals a new direction for this country, a direction in which both black and white can work together to overcome our common problems. You know, I often wonder how history will judge this moment, how the world will view this important time in 200 or 300 years. Will they view it as a continuation of the same racial bickering that has consumed this nation since its founding, or as the final page in a clouded history of the world? The election of Barack Obama truly signifies a change. Now, I know you've probably heard that word change a couple times this year. But I believe that it's truly happening. Just think about the African American, who before today could only look up to athletes and other celebrities, seeking a claim to fame as a mean for progressive change. We all know that there's a better chance of hitting the lottery than becoming a famous athlete or movie star. But think about this young African American now, looking at his president, who happens to also be an athlete, and what will they see? They will see a man who sought to transcend race and was successful. They will see a man who is intelligent and who has crossed the racial threshold. They will see a state senator who became a United States senator and finally our president. A man who represents the words and dream of Dr. Martin Luther King. A man who inspires our generation and can once again prove that public service is a noble calling. That is the change that we can believe in. That is the change that we voted for. And that is the change that Dr. Martin Luther King sought to bring to this nation. Thank you very much.
Tough act to follow. All right. All right. Well, I'm just honored and I'm glad to be here on, this distinguished panel. I won on a contest for this essay on, and the question was, has Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream come true? Just think about this as I go through this. When you think about dreams, they mostly entail personal aspirations and goals that one might want to pursue, or adventures or quests that you may desire to take on. Even during icebreakers, which I'm sure you're familiar with, freshmen, you come across questions such as, what is your dream vacation, or what is your dream job? But Dr. King's dream and message was not a personal one, but a passionate and powerful one. Having a dream for the common good. Today we recognize one of the greatest social activists in American history, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. At this very moment of remembrance, we invoke the very spirit of unity and peace that Dr. King so long fought for. Here in the United States, we set aside this time of year not to only recognize a great man, but the overall struggle and fight for the rights of every single human being, no matter whom they may be or where they may come from. That same struggle was fought for by many people who had a dream to create a society that would include all of its people as U.S. citizens and not as slaves. And by signing the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, we did just that. In stating that, we mustn't forget the many countries and governments around the world that deny people the basic human rights that they so rightfully deserve, carried by people who had a similar dream and struggle. A dream to live in a place that all men and women are to be created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. A dream that encouraged many men and women in the segregated South to rally and to boycott the local bus companies and the segregated diners and local businesses that supported segregation. A dream that made it possible for people of color to be educated in such fine institutions like Fairfield University. A dream that energizes a single mother raising 3 children to go to work and to go to school at the same time and still have the belief and the faith that their life will be better someday. A dream that gives a doctor in a neighborhood clinic comfort in knowing that he is making a difference, some way, somehow. A dream that inspired an African American through his failures and successes throughout his political career to be able to become the first African American president of these United States of America. The dream only lives on if we keep it alive. So let every man and woman, boy and girl, black and white, Muslim and Christian, keep the dream alive, and let it be said that Dr. King's dream has manifested itself to all those who believed. Thank you.